guys? It is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. I have a monster for you today. I did a Judas Priest song a few weeks ago, and then everybody was like, "That's great, man. Why aren't you doing Painkiller? If you're gonna do Judas Priest, you gotta do Painkiller." I didn't do Painkiller because Painkiller is a pain to do. It's long, it's fast. There's 2 solos in it that are just ridiculous. But I thought about it, so I said, all right, let's do it. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to take you through the whole track, all the rhythm guitar parts, all those 2 solos, everything. So let's get into it. We're in standard tuning. Before I get into it, though, follow the channel if you haven't already. Put a lot of work into these things, so please help me out and just follow along. Share it with your friends. And read the little notification bell so you know I release a new lesson. And I want to say a special thank you to everybody who has actually joined the channel and become a member of the channel. It helps support these lessons, keep me cranking them out every week, and it's just a small donation every month. And if you're really into what I do over here, please check out my Guitar Academy. It's at guitarlessons365.com. It's got all my guitar courses. And we've got a great community going over there, so hopefully you'll join it. All right, so let's jump into this monster. All right, so we're going to start with this thing that kind of, after Scott Travis's drum intro, we had this. So that's how he's doing it. He does it live, and it sounds, like the recording. So I think it's not like harmonics, that is dive bar harmonics he's doing. What's going on is the 23rd fret on the B string, you're going to bend that. And as you bend that, you're also going to get the G string. So as you do the bend, you can get the G string there underneath your fingertip as well. Hit those together. And then you just kind of slowly release the bend. So he starts out with a kind of a bar dive. And then he releases the bend. So that's what's going on there. It's a cool sound. All right, and then we have the main riff, which is super fast. So it's something. All right, so this song just goes and goes and goes. It never slows down. There's like no breather at all. So we're gonna start here. So that's going to be a lot of pinch harmonics going to be happening. So I'm not going to mention all these pinch harmonics that are going on throughout the track because they're all over the place. We're just digging in on all the notes. So there's pinch harmonics flying all over the place. So that's kind of a natural feel thing as you start getting into it, digging into the notes. So we have. So that's 7 on the A string, and then I keep going back to the low E and hitting that twice. Heavily palm muted. So remember, between each note, you're going to hit the low E string twice. So just the notes that are going to be changing will be on the A string. So that's 7, 5, 7, 8. Now right here, when you get back to, so we have 7, 5, 7. And then right here, there's a little variation there. You're going to pick the 7th fret on the A, but open E just once, and then you're going to pull off 3 to 0 on the low E. That's what it is. So start over. So you basically go back through those same 4 notes on the A. And then you grab the power chord at the 6th fret on the low E string. All right, so it is. And repeat. After you do that a few times, we get to this A riff, kind of a series of triplets. So that's just that open A string. And then a power chord, open A power chord. the D power chord at the 5th fret, C power chord at the 3rd fret, and then the B power chord at the 2nd fret. Let's play this. Then you start this again, but just reverse the chords. Well, it still starts with that A, and then it goes 2, 3, 5, and then you're back to the main riff again. And then back to that same A riff, kind of triplet riff that we did before. And then we have a new kind of version of the main riff that starts off of a B. Looks like this. So that's gonna be. So that's 9 on the A string. And then remember, you're going to keep going back and hit the 7th fret there on the low E. So we have 9 on the A, 10, 9, and then 10 on the D string, 9. So after you do the 9 on the D, you're just going to hit the low E string, that 7th fret on the low E once. And then you're going to do a hammer on from 9 to 10 on the A. So we have this. But then you start going like you're starting over. You basically just do the 9, 10, 9, but then there's a little shift. That's basically you're going to move up now to the 8th fret on the low E string, and then you're going to play. Remember, you're still hitting that though twice after every note, the melody note. So you're going to play. So that 10 on the D, 9 on the D, and then 10 on the A. So remember, after that 10 on the A, just one time on that 8th fret on the low E, and then you repeat the riff. So we have this. Repeat. All right, so from there we have this riff would go down to F sharp, which looks like this. All right, so that is just a tremolo pick in there at the or kind of like we did before. It's just at the F sharp on the low E string, 2nd fret, and then you're gonna hit the power chord at the 3rd fret. Then go back to the F sharp, and then the second time. You're going to play 3, 5. So we have this. Repeat. Now, after you've played that second 3, 5, now we're going to just basically start the exact same riff, but right there at the 5th fret. After you've done that a couple of times, now we have this new riff, which I call the A tremolo riff. We'll try this. All right, so that's just 5, 6, 8 on the low E string. And you're just kind of slow, you're doing the, nothing slow. I shouldn't even say that word when playing anything in the song. So just get the picking going, but just how you time the notes in the left. So it basically kind of goes about a tempo like that. So just kind of, and then there's a quick little, you just hit the F sharp power chord, and then Glenn Tipton starts doing some crazy gymnastics. So that takes us to the rhythm guitar part for the solo. So as soon as the band kicks in, it's a long solo. So therefore the rhythm guitar part of the solo is also long. So let me just also, before we jump to that, when we're doing these kind of there's a second guitar going. So 2 guitar players in your band, one plays that top line, which is a lot more difficult, and then the other one can just hang out down here. So now the rhythms for the solo part look like this. Woo! Even the rhythm guitar part of that thing is nuts. All right, so this is a big pinky workout, man. I'm cramping up over here. So we're gonna start here. So that's gonna be, you're gonna play these double stops. You're gonna play, so you always go back and hit this, the 9th fret there on the low E string. Palm mute it just once between each one. So we have this. You play the 9 on the A and the D, and pull off, I'm sorry, the 11 on the A and the D, and then pull off to the 9s. And then hit that 9 on the low E, and then do the same thing again, but this time, you're gonna play the 12s, probably with your pinky, and the A and the D, pull off the 9, and then back to that one hit there on the low E. So with this. Repeat. So this. Now then what you're going to do is you're going to jump over to the 11th fret and the D and the G together and pull off to those 9s. And then back to the 12s on the A and the D and pull off to those 9s. So this. And then start over. So that kind of, this is really kind of starting over as kind of the second half of it. So when you're kind of starting over the second half, that pulling that 9 to 11 to 9, 12 to 9, 11 to 9, and then you have this little 7th fret power chord to 10. So this, that's the whole riff. So this. Repeat. So you do it twice there, and then you take it to the 2nd fret and do it 4 times there. However, it doesn't go, it doesn't do that kind of, it just hits the low E power chord there at the end. So it does. Then you start over. So you do it 4 times. All right, so you do that 4 times, and then he gets a little bit of a breather here. And we have this little part. So it's just 9, power chord, the low E string, then 7, 5, back to 7, and then you're gonna go kind of go over to the power chord at the 7th fret of the A string, and get the low E in there too as well. And then start the chords over again. It's gonna be a little bit different this second time through. 9, 7, 5, and now just hang out on 5 a little longer. And then back to 7, kind of just like you did it, that little changeover, little turnaround. That's at the 7th fret of the low. So it's gonna, what we just did, I'm gonna hold on this 5. And then you start all of that over again, and so that basically what we just did was 1 time through the part. So I'll play that. Big E hit. Hold on the A. Now it's a B hit. Now repeat everything exactly the same. So where the second time through, where we would have just held on this A, we had this little. So we had this, we're on the A, take it down to the 4th fret power chord, and then open E, 2, 3, 4, jump up to 7, and a kind of a slow, small bend. Then we're back to that same pull-off riff that we did before, but now at the 4th fret. 2, 5 is the power chord that ends this one. We basically do it 4 times. Now, right before you end the 4th time, after you did that pull off on the D and the G, and then the 12 to 9 from the A to, I'm sorry, did I say 12 to 9? 7 to 4. We have this chord, which they might be, one might be doing the octave, the other guy doing the power chord, but you can put them together. Sounds cool. 4 on the low E, 6 on the A, 8 on the G string. And then it's just 5, 4, 2, 4. And then that takes us back to the main riff. All right, whew, geez. So that has obviously got about 20 years of work into it, probably for most. So sorry about this. So we're gonna just go through this. There's gonna be a couple of parts of this that are just unrecreatable. Just he's doing maybe some chromatic ideas, and he's just kind of winging it. So it's pretty obvious that part. Never really plays it the same way twice. So I'll let you know where that's at. For the most part, we can do it note for note. There's a lot of hairy stuff in this one though. So, and it starts out with the most difficult part at the very beginning of it. So this is based off of some, the sweeps at the very beginning of the solo first start out based around F sharp minor arpeggios, and then the very last one it changes to a D major arpeggio. So let's start here. At first, when he starts the solo, when the band cuts out, he does this first arpeggio pattern. Now, the part, it's not completely like, you know, pristine, clean, you know, it's some of the notes get kind of jumbled up, so you can hear that if you like slow it down or whatever, but because it's pretty much impossible to play otherwise. So anyway, we have, you're gonna do that. You're gonna hammer 14 to 18, pull back off to 14, and then do the arpeggio that we're gonna roll from the 16th fret on the D over to the 16 on the A, and down to the 17 on the low E. So that's a sweep. All right. So now I'm not gonna tell you how to sweep. Obviously, if you should know how to sweep pick already if you're trying to do this. And then we get into, he starts doing more of the full arpeggios. So he does this arpeggio here at the, I'll turn that delay off. So he basically doesn't go all the way down to the 6th string on the second one. So the second one, you're gonna play. You're gonna basically pick 14 on the high E, hammer on 17, pull back off, roll across the 14 on the B and the G, down to the 16 on the D. Then sweep back up. So far we got. All right, so now that starts, basically when you did that 14, that last 14 to 17 hammer on, that basically starts the 3rd arpeggio. So it's just gonna be kind of extended. So you can see what I'm doing there. I hammer 14 to 17, and I tap there at the 21st fret, that C sharp up here, and then you're gonna pull off, and then pull off to the A, to the index finger, and then you're gonna do the sweep all the way down to the, so it's the F sharp minor arpeggio from the 14 on the high E to the B to the G, 16 on the D and the A, and then 17 on the low E. And then the last arpeggio is actually the easiest because you don't have all those like rolls going on. So that one, you're gonna start the same way, hammering 14 to 17, but instead of doing F sharp minor, he goes to he raises this C sharp up to a D, and then he turns it into a D major arpeggio at the very end. So that's tapping the 22nd fret up the high E string, pull off 17 and 14, and then 15 on the, it's a D major arpeggio going down, 15 on the B, 14 on the G, 16 on the D, and then 17 on the A, and then You're going to take that down to the 16 on the A to start the rest of the solo. So super slow, I'll go through all this. So as soon as he hits that note, that last note, full band is in there. And we have this next phrase. All right, so hope you have a locking trim system here. So we have, so that's 16 on the A string. So go 16, 17, 16, 17, 16, 14, 16. So he keeps doing little bar dips. So why he does this is, so. And then you hit the open D string, and then let it dive down, and then you're going to basically do the octave of that here at the 18th fret there on the G string. And then this time it's going to be the open B that you do the bar with. The bar dive with. All right, now we get into this kind of repetitive pattern. It looks like this. So that's going to start here, the 7th fret there on the D string, over to the 9th fret on the A. So it's heavily palm muted. So I'm hitting that 7th fret once, and then the 9th fret twice on the A. And then you're going to roll to the 9th fret on the D, and then back to that 9th fret on the A twice. So like this. And then back to the 7 on the D. So it's that same pattern. You kind of it's like when you keep going back to the A string, you're always, hit it twice. And then the note on the D string once. So we have that 7, 9 on the D, 7, and then 6. So when you get there, we have this little 9-7 on the A string, then slide 7 and 9 on the D. And then from there, so that's now you're still playing the 9, but the notes on the D string are going to be still get that pattern once on the D, twice on the A for at least the beginning of this. So we have this 11, 12, 11, 9, and then the last two, you're just going to hit E string once. That's 7 on the D, then 6 on the D. So we have this. All right, then you repeat that. But when you get up here and start doing this part, the second time through, then he starts doing a quick legato. It's a quick legato between 9, 11, and 12 on the D. Just go through that, up and down through that a couple times. And then quickly slide into the 22nd fret on the B string there. All right, next raise. All right, so we have this whole step bend at the 20th fret, right? Yes, 20th fret. Release. And then you're going to hammer 19 to 22, pull back off. So then come down to to the 14th fret. You're going to kind of do a double stop and pick across it at the 14th fret on the B and the high E. Sorry. So it's kind of picking across those two strings while letting them ring together. And he's adding some vibrato, some whammy bar in there. So, and then he finishes it out with the 17th fret there on the B. Next phrase. All right, so that little phrase is going to start with some double stops again. 10 on the B, 9 on the high E. Kind of pick across those two notes, and then back to that B string. And then slide into the 12th on the B string, over to the 12 on the high E, and back to that 12 on the B string. And then we go into this kind of little bluesy thing. And so this lick is a whole step bend at the 16th fret on the G string, into 14 on the B and 14 on the high E. You're going to roll over. And then just real quickly he goes between this 18th fret on the B to 14 on the high E. Couple times. And then we're going to finish this phrase out with this. That's pretty cool. So that's 19, 14 on the B, and then 18, 14 on the G. So what you're going to pick that, kind of picking each note twice. And you're going to resolve it to this 16th fret on the D string. So all together. All right, next phrase. So this starts at the 11th fret there on the B string. This is over the... That part of the riffs. So we have this 11th fret there on the D, and then what are you gonna do? It's really subtle, but it's really makes it sound really cool. You're gonna hammer on 18 to 19 on the G string real quick. And then you're going to grab the 21st fret on the high E string. And then big bend. And then a little bit smaller bend. And then no bend. 21, 19. So that was all just on the 21st fret. You gotta have your calluses in shape. Mine aren't, which is not great. So then we have this next phrase. All right. Hope you guys got that right. I just move on. So, anyway, so now this is one of those things where I'll kind of show you the scale patterns that he's playing. That last sweep is easy to get note for note, but coming up to that, it's kind of one of those just going for it parts. So that is going to be 14, 16, 17 on both the B string and the high E. So what you really want to do is you can start kind of slide into that 14 on the B, pick it up all the way to about the 16th fret on the high E, and then start back over, don't start over, go to the B string at the 17th fret, and then start climbing up from there again. Now here he just kind of does a random kind of legato-y thing. kind of just going across those 6 notes. So you can kind of really do what you want with these, kind of descending down to the B string. All right, so. All right. Then he's got a really cool little lick in here. So from what I can tell, he's a. That's a 19th fret, slide up to 21 and slide back down to 19. So it's a quick little slide. Pull off to 16, and then you're going to play 17, pull off to 16, and hammer back on to 17. And then just kind of repeat that. Got to go back to that 16 on the high E string first. So we have this. So it sounds like he's doing that a couple of times. And then he has that big sweep. So I gotta remember it. There we go. So that's 16 on the A string, hammer on 19. And then you're gonna go 18 on the D, roll over to 18 on the G. So this is a C sharp minor arpeggio. So hammer that 19, then 18, roll over to the 18 on the G string, 17 on the B, 16 on the high E string, and then you're gonna go to 21 on the high E, pull back off to that 16, over to 17 on the B, 18 on the G, and then 16 on the G. All right, from there we have this. All right, so we have this bend at the 21st fret, big bend, release, and then that's a bend now at the 19th fret, then pick 19 without the bend, and then across that C sharp minor arpeggio again, triad here. So that's going to be 16 on the high E, 17 on the B, 18 on the G. Then skip down here to 9 on the B string to 9 on the G to 8 on the G. And then there's just a kind of a slight little 8-note pause. And he ends the phrase with that 2-1 on the D to 4 on the A string. So now here's the part in the solo, probably more than anything, that's very random. He's mostly doing chromatic stuff. Kind of sounds like, when I see him do it live, he's not really kind of repeating himself ever. So it's kind of like. The idea is to get to that ending, and then there's a really cool section coming up. So to kind of make it sound similar and kind of get close to what he's doing, I kind of just do a little chromatic line, a little 3-note. Kind of taking 2, 3, 4 back down to 3. So take that pattern and just kind of move it around. And that's kind of essentially, I think, what he's going for. So I like to kind of just do it at the 2nd fret, and then move it to the 5th fret, and then take it across the strings. And then from that 5th fret there on the B string, I kind of take it up to the 7th fret. And then you start taking it up the neck. You can, if you want, you can just start moving it up chromatically, whatever. Just, it's one of those things that's not going to be recreatable ever. So you're not going to do it the same way. So don't worry about it. It's a chromatic bass lick, just like we were doing, and that's what you just need to focus on. So when you get up here, just start sliding it up the B string. And then you get to the high E string. When you get up to about the 15, switch over to the high E. And then as we have 15, 16, 19 on the high. Do that a couple times. Kind of doing that same lick, just with those notes. And then there's a bend and release at the 19th fret. Now we have something really cool that is very note for note we can do. And it sounds like this. All right, so you can do it note for note if you have fingers that are 17 feet long. If you don't, you're just too bad, man. So what's happening here is we're gonna have a 14 on the B string, and then hammer on 17, and then hammer on. So that's a 3 fret gap, 14 to 17, and then 17 to 21 between these two fingers. So yay, that's a fun stretch. So we have this. So you're gonna pick 17, 14, hammer on 17, hammer on 21. Do the same thing on the high E. Then pull back off, all the way back down to the 14. So we have this. And then we're back down to the B string, picking that 21st fret, pull off 17, pull off 14. The cool thing about this lick is when you have licks that stretch that big, then we literally are moving up in pitch even though we're going down in string. So it kind of gives you so he does that twice. So after he does it twice, he takes it down an octave, which is even a bigger stretch because we're in wider frets here. But that is 11, 14, and then 18. This is on the D string. So it's the same exact lick though. Take it over to the G, back down to the D. And he's going to end it there at the 9th fret on the low E. So that one that was down an octave, you just do it once there, not twice. Then you resolve it there at that 9th fret on the G, on the low E. And then we have this. So that's kind of one of those, like he's kind of really digging in. You're gonna hear a lot of like pinch harmonics and stuff here. So bend at the 11th fret on the G. Then we have 9 on the G, 11 on the D. Roll over to that 11 on the G, back down to 9. Kind of just do that a couple times. And then he goes over to the 9 on the on the B string, I'm sorry. 9 on the G, then down to 8. And then do that again. All right, now we get to some more big bends. All right, so crazy bends. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what exact fret he's doing these bends on. He starts with playing the 21st fret, And for me, the easiest thing to do is then move up to the 22nd fret, do a bend, and then release the bend just kind of halfway to find that next note. And then go to 23 and kind of do the same thing. Bigger bend though. And then release it halfway to find that next note. And then end it with, at the 21st fret, just a normal bend. And back down without the bend. So we have this. And then what he has here, you can hear a little bit of a chromatic thing on the B string. But what he does is he grabs this minor third shape, which is at the 6th fret on the B, 4th fret on the high E string. And what he does is he tremolo picks across those, move it up like a fret at a time, then back down to the 4th fret. So we basically go up, start with the 4th fret, go up to 6th, back down to 4, and then we just start taking it all the way up the string. Then you grab the 20th fret, and then there's a bend that sounds like that, where it's 2 strings that are caught underneath the finger. And that's at the 21st fret. So you basically do a bend at the 21st fret. And it's kind of like the bend that we did in the intro of the song, where you're going to grab the note, and then with the bend, you can grab the string underneath it and hit that as well. So that's what's going on there. All right, so now we get this next section, which is kind of similar to what we did before, but just slightly different. But it's we're back to some kind of uniformity, which is good because I'm about to have a stroke. These are a lot of notes to deal with here. So here we go. All right, so that has a section at the end too. That's one of those kind of going for it parts. So right here we had this. Gonna have that, and we're gonna repeat it 3 times. So that's it. Kind of the same pattern that we did before. 4th fret on the G. And then this 6th fret there on the D. Roll over to 6 on the G. Back to those 2 6s on the D string. Then back to 4 on the G. And then you got kind of the same. But he's kind of hanging out more on this 6th fret a little bit longer than it. And then we do that slide up, that 4 to 6 on the G. So kind of just like we did before. And then we're here. And then this part is you're gonna play. Remember, you're gonna always go back and hit this 6th fret on the D string twice. So you're gonna play. You're gonna play 8 on the G. Then 9, 8, 6, so we have this. And you're gonna end it playing 4 on the D, 2 on the G. So we have this. Basically do that 3 times. And then after the 3rd time, he starts that kind of ascending run that ends the solo. Thank God. So what I can tell you is it's kind of like the notes that he's doing under his fingers, but there's not like a clear picking pattern that he's doing there. It's more of a random thing. So the notes are going to be 4, 6, 7 on the low E, then 4, 6, 7 on the A, over that 4 on the D. And then you're going to move up to the 6th fret there on the D string, play 6, 8, 9 on the D, 6, 8, 9 on the G. So what I like to do is kind of those the Paul Gilbert licks, which are just kind of like 4, 6, 7 on the low E, back to 4 on the A string, then work your way back down. So that's a 6-note pattern. And then when you start over, you just ascend through 6 notes. So like this. Then start that same thing on this string. So they're kind of, and then you start, do it there. So you palm mute that, it just sounds like a flurry of notes. After you get done here, that 9th fret, jump up here, which is 16, 19 on the B string, and you're gonna play 16, 19, 21, up and down a couple times, and then you're gonna end the solo there with the 22nd fret there on the high E string. Woo, that was a beast. All right, so now after that main riff, we have that same little A triplet that we did at the beginning. And then it shifts it to a kind of a B triplet thing. So now it's just off this 2nd fret power chord. You kind of the same riff, but 2 frets higher. So that's 2nd fret, and then 7, 5, 4, then 2, 4, 5, 7. So the same thing, just 2 frets higher. And then it takes us back to the that B riff we did before. And then, so we've covered that already, but then it does that kind of same tremolo riff, kind of tremolo picking riff. So that's the exact same thing we did before at the 5th fret. Just in at the 7th. So that's kind of right out of that riff. Kind of stay there and do that same tremolo pick riff there. And then it's back to the main riff again. And this is kind of the outro solo. So this riff goes on for a while. And then we have KK Downing's solo that comes around. So that is just underneath, it's the F sharp riff that we did before. So that was in the first solo. So now over underneath KK Downing solo, that's what's going on 4 times through that riff. So let me just play through his solo real quick for you. This one, thankfully, is a little bit shorter than the last than Glenn Tipton. So it sounds like this. All right, so we are getting to the end of this thing. All right, so we. All right, so we have the 17th fret bend at the whole 7th. couple times. Then it goes 14 on the high E, 14 on the B, 17, 14, back to 17. So this. Then what you're going to do is kind of you can bend partially with your finger and then also with the bar. I can't bend all the way up, kind of. So I have to, you know, I can't do it all with the bar, so I'm going to kind of help it with the fingers. So all right, cool stuff. And then we have this. So this starts out kind of as really just triplets. That's going to be 17, 15, 12 on the high E. Then 15, 14, 12 on the D string. Then the same thing there on the Gs. So those first three strings is triplets. And then we get into some 16th notes. So that's going to be these last notes. Just kind of speeds up on these last notes. 9, 11. I'm sorry, 11, 9. And then 12, 11, 10. And then 12, 11, 10 on the A, all the way down to the 9th fret there. So that's where it ends. So we have this. See how it sped up when I got down to those notes? All right, from there we go to the kind of really digging in here. So that's kind of the 4th fret there on the D, and then the double stops is the 2nd fret on the G and the B. Then I kind of a pinch harmonic at the 4th fret on the G, kind of a bend and release. Pull off to the 2nd fret, over to 4 on the D, and back to that 12th fret on the 2nd fret on the G. Then just a lot of pinch harmonics between 2 and 4 on the G. Then we have a crazy lick. It's amazing how these guys are obviously just trying to top one another. So we have. So that's going to be, really it's mostly legato, but you can kind of pick it to help. I can sound when you pick it. So it's just 3, 2, 0 on both the high E and the B. And then take that to 10, 9, 7 on both those strings. And then 15, 14, 12 on both strings. It's kind of fun. And to a bend at the 22nd fret on the high E string. Sorry, I might be flying through this a little bit. I am ready to go home. This is long. All right, so all right. From there we have lose my mind here. All right, so the 2nd fret on the low E string. He's kind of digging in, doing some bends, and adding some pinch harmonics. And then he does those pinch harmonics at that bend and release at the 4th fret again on the G string. Pull off to 2. And then he takes the harmonic again and really kind of bend up with the bar. And get a harmonic actually. And then we have that F sharp minor sweep, just the full sweep this time though. So So that's going to be hammer on 14 to 17 on the low E, then roll 16 to 14 on the D, 16 on the A to 14 on the D, and then roll across the 14th fret across the G, B, and the high E. Hammer on 17, tap that 21st fret on the high E, pull off 17, pull off 14, and then sweep back down. To that 17, then it's an open E string. So and then he basically just goes into some double stops. So it's just kind of just the double stops on the 2nd fret of the D and the G together, then 4. Kind of jam it out on just those two. And it kind of sounds like there's like a slight little, I don't even know if that's his guitar that's doing it, but it's just 2nd fret, really heavily palm muted, then 3, back to 2, and then we get down to those ending, that takes us to the low E power chord, open power chord that starts the outro section. So that starts with just the E power chord ringing out, and then it's the F sharp power chord at the 2nd fret. Scott Travis does his thing. Dramatic ending. So from that low E, then the F sharp power chord twice. Slide to 7, 5, 4, held a little longer, and then just let it sit there on the 3 a while, and resolve it to 2 at the end. Wow, I think that was the longest one ever. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did not. And I'm just kidding. It's a great song. It's a fun track to play. And, you know, so I'm probably not going to play it for a couple days, though, because I'm kind of done with it at the moment. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.